This is the Learning Disabilities Screencast Part 2. So students' rights, they have the right to receive due process if they get in trouble at school. They have the right to be heard in defense of self and has the right to review all documents that support the charges against them. They have the right to be treated at all times with respect and courtesy by all members of the school staff. They have the right to receive a prompt hearing and they have the right to expect a safe learning environment. They have a right to receive free and appropriate education, which is FAPE. Um, and they also have the right to be provided accommodation for their learning disability. So teachers' rights and obligations. Teachers have a right to work in a safe environment. They have a right to be treated respectfully by their students. They have a right to be able to teach. Teachers have an obligation to notify parents before the beginning of the evaluation process to set up an IEP. Teachers have an obligation to follow guidelines set forth in the IEP, and teachers should realize that parents have the right by law to access and have copies of anything teachers add to student files. So, behavior intervention plan. Um, Once a BIP is signed by the parent, each person who is involved in the plan should receive a copy of it. A BIP is a legally binding contract, and the procedures outlined therein must be followed. And a BIP outlines the behavior of concern, responsibilities of the students, of the school, and the responsibilities of the parent or guardian. So for suspension and expulsion, the main priority is for the students to be in school. And so schools are allowed to suspend a student for up to 10 days a year. And if the student is in question of suspension for the 11th day, um, an IEP team must meet to either write a BIP or review the existing BIP. So an MET is a multidisciplinary evaluation team. Um, Part of the evaluation and reevaluation process to determine eligibility for special education services. And the team shall include at least one special education teacher or other specialist who has knowledge of the disability. READ stands for Review of Existing Evaluation Data. Um, READ or review of existing and evaluation data, and the evaluation planning process is what this is for. It's not required for a read to be completed in a formal meeting, and members may meet individually or in small groups to review the existing data in their area of expertise. An IEPT is an individualized education program team, and that consists of the student in question, the parent, a general education teacher, a special education teacher, and a school district representative. The initial IEP is a meeting that uses an educational team to determine the eligibility and appropriate special education services for a student. A transition IEP um, is is for students who are. It begins when a student turns 16. The transition plan is the section of an IEP that outlines transition goals and services for a student. A transition plan is based on a high school student's individual needs, strengths, skills, and interests. Transition planning is used to identify and develop goals which need to be accomplished during the current school year to assist the student in meeting his or her post-high school goals. The annual review of an IEP happens once a year, and it requires um, parents and staff to sit down and review the student's progress. This is a time to share what the student has accomplished and write goals for the next year. The principal, special education teacher, general education teacher, and the general education teacher meet with the parent for the review. A reevaluation of an IEP begins with the review of existing data by the IEP team. And it does not require permission from the parent, but the parent must be included in the review. Manifest determination has a purpose of determining whether or not the child's behavior that led to the disciplinary infraction is linked to his or her disability, and it must occur within 10 days of any decision to change the child's placement because of violation of school rules. So if a child is if a school wants to suspend or expel a child, um, they have to have a manifest determination after the 10th day suspended. So due process hearing is for times when the parent and the school cannot resolve issues concerning the child. An impartial hearing is designed to hear both sides of the issue and resolve it through a third party, and either the parent or the school can initiate the process. And addendum to an IEP is minor changes to the IEP during the year it is in effect. If a substantial change needs to be made to a student's IEP, an IEPT meeting should be convened. And finally, progress reporting is used to assess students' academic progress, and it tells the teacher what your child has learned and what still needs to be taught.